Sustainability, deep ecologist values. Boy, this is going to be a heavy one. I hope you're all ready for this. First thing I want to show you is my farming areas. You can see the sawdust. Okay, so look and see the sawdust behind me, way over there. I'm not sure if you can see. There's some of my gardens and there's some of my bananas and all the things behind me that I'm going to be addressing as a part of deep ecologist values. All right. It's really important that you understand the different ways that a deep ecologist looks at life. It's a combination of things that's not necessarily one person's view. I mean, the term was made popular in 1972 by I've forgotten his name, Alfred, I believe it was, but I'm not sure. But the values have got to be understood in order to understand why somebody says, I'm a deep ecologist, and you're supposed to understand what they're talking about. Okay, does that make sense? You know what? It is a little overcast today. Maybe I'll take my hat off. Be easier for you to see me. There you go. How's that? Is that better? Okay. Oh, by the way, this is part of being a deep ecologist is being an activist. And since I'm a 24/7 caregiver for my husband, who's a Vietnam veteran, I can't go march. So what I do is I create things, including what I'm wearing, to express how I feel about the fact that my heart connects to the butterfly's heart and to mountains and forests and all the way down to my legs and to the heart on my back. It's to be an activist without actually having to go out and protest or march or things that I really cannot do for my country because I no longer live in the United States. And that's part of what I want to talk about, because I no longer live in the United States because the air is very dirty. My husband has a very hard time breathing. He was exposed to Agent Orange over a course of 4 years, 1 solid year and 3 years of flying in and out. And his lungs are scarred, and the air quality is very poor in the United States. The second thing is water quality. Water quality is also very poor in the United States. And the other thing is food quality. Most people here are organic farmers. This is South America, Ecuador, South America. We've lived here for about 13 years. And that's why we moved here, because the air quality is phenomenal. There's the only thing around here is called panela plant. It's a plant where they harvest what you would normally think of as sugar cane, but it's not. It's a different product. They call it cane, but it's not near as sweet, and it's brown. It looks more like your brown sugar. That is the only factory around here. Some of them make alcohol from the sugar, and most of them just processes sugar into cubes that are then sent to plants where it's kind of ground down and put in bags and people buy it. And it's all organic. Everything around here is organic. So all the food we eat is organic, which is a big help, believe me, for a man with 17 diseases. So that's part of what a deep ecologist would look for, a place where the air and the water and the soil is not being ridiculed, dishonored, unrespected. I could use 1,000 words, with pollution. There's really no pollution around here. That at night the sky looks like it just reach up and catch a star. It's really amazing. There are blue zones. Now, the blue zones, that's not exactly deep ecologist, but I'm going to tell you about some of the other areas that are kind of overlapped. It's important to understand the overlap. I will be having segments in this video to let you know the exact wording that people are using for deep ecologists, but in general, it's to let you know that we're committed, not only our core values, but our spiritual values and our activism are all kind of intertwined. The spiritual values might be called animism, where we believe that although the water tank right here does not have a soul, the bananas near me are living, and all the plants behind me, you can see I've got citrus and avocado and papaya and all kinds of trees down there that we put up, and we have about 60 banana trees that are there, and also lots of flowers. That's another part of the deep ecologist permaculture, when you want to pull that one in, which, because they do overlap. Permaculture is about designing things so that they work together. So you're not throwing anything away, just like nature. Nature doesn't throw anything away. So that's what we're doing here, the Summerland Permaculture Project. We're doing lots of gardening with the sawdust is from the local wood plants where they are cutting up the wood, and it's all come from Amazon forests, who we're close to here, or other forests, and where they want to keep everything here. I mean, they don't want it gone. So we spread it all over the land. It keeps the weeds down, and it also disintegrates and makes more soil. So and it also, when the winds blow across the top of the land, the plants don't dry out because they have this sawdust on top, and they've been watered underneath, and the sawdust holds the moisture in. So it's all about the same thing as what we say about permaculture. It's about designing so that everything is intertwined, including our spirituality, which is what I'm trying to get across to you in any way that I can. The whole idea of not accepting the fact that most religions are committed to the concept that the world was put here for us to use. And there is some truth to that, of course there is. But when you accept that it's ours to use, it's become use up. And that's what's happening. It's just used up. It's not giving back to the earth what the earth needs, not taking all the trees and then replacing them, as was done in the land that we tried to recover in Arizona, just north of Mexico. It's so difficult once all the trees have been taken up and the topsoil has been let go, and no more trees have been planted to protect, or no sawdust is put down, or no compost or anything. Of course, we compost. Oh, right here, you can see our solar panels. Those are our solar panels that make this house work, and how I was able to charge this battery was on solar. And right behind me is I'll show you some bananas. See the bananas? And that I make for myself. We don't need to discuss that, but I do a lot of my own sewing, and DIY is, I think, my middle name. And that's part of a deep ecologist, and that's part of a permaculturist. That's part of a permaculturist. And now I'm also going to bring in the whole concept of the blue zones. Blue zones were defined as about 5 different zones, unless you talk to some other people and they'll say there's 7 different zones. But when I was looking up blue zones about 15 years ago, one of the ones they mentioned was the coastline of Ecuador being very close to that. And now that I've moved here, I understand exactly why they would say that. as far as the air quality and the water quality, but not as far as being overpopulated, which it is, having a lot of light pollution, a lot of noise pollution, and very few indigenous people. The indigenous people who typically live in a blue zone live a life of mostly eating plants. About half their diet is plants, about 4% is meat or fish, and other than that, it's legumes and grains and that sort of thing, which is essentially me. I have practiced veganism, and I wasn't really comfortable with it. I felt there was something, and when I was working on my doctorate, I gave in to the idea that I'm living in Ecuador and I might as well eat some fish. And it really helped because I was on a pure vegan diet, and now I eat fish and cheese, the hard local cheese that's so incredibly wonderful. I don't eat milk products or anything other than the cheese. But the concept, and I certainly don't drink wine, which is part of their concept. The other thing is enough rest with friends, a lot of social activity, and movement. Well, I get a lot of movement because I'm taking care of, and I'm almost 80 myself, but my husband's 85, and taking care of a tall, big, not fat, just big, older man. It takes a lot of movement, and I've got the gardens that I'm walking to, and I've got dogs I take care of, and my chickens that I take care of. We have about 5 acres here. 3 acres are all fenced in with the gardens. So there's a lot of movement. I also, every day, twice a day, work out in a therapy tub because of a back injury. So I have a whole routine of exercises. So when you look at what the blue zone has, it's clean air, usually also clean water. It's about getting adequate rest, making sure you have a good social environment, and your diet is half or more of vegetables. And of course here we're eating organic vegetables, and I always say that that's why my husband has lived as long as he has. And I have health issues too that should have taken me out early, but it's not. It hasn't happened. We really came here thinking. Well, the doctors just before we came here in Mexico said he's not going to make it, and that was 13 years ago. So you just never know what. And we get about the only processed food we ever use is mayonnaise, and that's only occasionally. We just don't use processed food. It's not necessary. There's so much organic food here, and it's so incredibly reasonable that that's what we're going to use is what's available. Okay, now I'd like to, let me just double check down here. Low population, very definitely. As you can tell, I am sitting out here. Today is Wednesday, and you might hear a small motor way in the distance, but that's about it. Usually you can hear the birds, and my chickens are usually carrying on in the background, but they've just been fed, so they're not carrying on. And then there's lots and lots of local birds. The country of Ecuador has an incredible variety of birds, and that's an enjoyable thing. I mean, who doesn't want to hear birds sing, right? Okay, let me make sure I've got everything out. Oh, mountains. That's a lot of the blue zones have mountains, either mountains or shoreline. And here we have the mountains, so we have an air movement a lot. We don't have to be concerned about stagnant air. The air is moving around all the time. More so in the evenings, just before we go to bed, we see the air is moving around. And because there's nothing polluting coming towards us or leaving from us, it stays nice and clear. Like I said, the stars feel like you can reach up and touch them. It's really amazing. Okay, so let's talk for a minute about spirituality. There is a concept that the animists believe that everything that has life has a soul or has a power of living. And it needs to be respected. And I sincerely believe that. The Buddhists believe that everything should not be harmed. They eat very little, and that was another thing I forgot to mention on the blue zones. The people stop eating as soon as they're full. They usually eat about 80% of what most other people eat. They use smaller dishes. They take helpings so that they can take a first helping that's very small. They do a lot of things to reduce how much food they eat, and it certainly helps with their health. The city, or the little village just beyond where I'm living right now, is called Vilcabamba, and it is the city of longevity. And they've done a lot of studies there to find out why it's a city of longevity. And what they discovered particularly is the clean water and the clean air. It's not one thing, though. People are also very casual. There's lots of places to walk. There's lots of clean rivers to jump into and swim. It's a very laid-back community. No heavy industry. I think the biggest industry we have is a man that does welding, but I think that's about it. There's really no. There's a few men that repair motorcycles in one place that I know of, but there's really no industry to speak of, and that makes a big difference. And the social life, there's such an incredibly nice social life there. It's not late at night. It's not like bars are open until 2 o'clock in the morning. It's that sort of thing at all. There's a few places that you can play pool, but nothing again is all night long, and only, well, now New Year's Eve, of course, that's hell-bent. And Carnival is coming up next week. Oh my gosh, what they do at Carnival is the children throw water on you no matter where you are, even if you're in a car, and mostly children. Some of the teenagers do it too. And then they have these spray cans with this string stuff that they throw all over you. It's what you call Mardi Gras. It's the early celebration of the fertility of the land. And so it's happening next week, the 16th and 17th of February, but it's the Monday and Tuesday. But they always start celebrating on Thursday evening. Stretch it out for 5 days. And I hide. I really have gotten used to the rural life, and I love it so much. I find the spirituality aspect of it is that everything I see has a purpose. I know that, well, let me give you an example. I had a kind of a pumpkin, not what you would traditionally think of a Halloween pumpkin, but it's a South American pumpkin. It was all green and had white stripes on it, so it wasn't orange. And it was fully ripe. Well, it was overripe, actually. I had not gone out there to check on it. Busy taking care of my husband. And I hadn't checked on it, and it had gotten little worms in it. So recognizing that the worms are part of decomposing the pumpkin, of course I cut it. I gave some to the chickens, and I put the rest in the compost. We have probably 5 or 6 compost piles where we gather up all the scraps from the house and any leftover bananas, because it's real hard for somebody to eat 97 bananas before they turn ripe. And all the leftover scraps and all of the waste products that we happen to pick up. We don't pick up a lot because we usually put down the sawdust, and that gives us what we need on the ground to be able to keep the weeds down. And and some of the weeds, of course, you need. I mean, we have right over here, there's some of the dandelion, which of course is edible, and we also have the purslane growing all over the place that's edible, and arugula. Oh my gosh, we have so much arugula, and all those things are edible, and they're also keep certain bugs and things away. But again, you have to have your mindset to be a part of that kind of lifestyle. If you don't have that kind of lifestyle as comfortable for you, and that's where the spirituality comes in again. The idea is that I feel like I'm honoring the earth. I feel like I'm recognizing. I have a beautiful logo that I got from Reverend Bowd, Michael Bowd, who died 2 or 3 years ago. And it's G with the world D. For God. And that's the way I think about it. I think about our world as either Mother Earth or God, because it has given us the air that we need, and the water that we need, and the shelter that we need, and all these different aspects of, if we pay attention, if we really pay attention. Like I've recently learned that corn grows better when it's completely covered underneath with marigolds. Who would know? We mostly think of the three sisters, which is corn, beans, and squash, because the beans grow up the corn stalk, and so does the squash, and that's called the three sisters. But now I've learned that the land is telling me that marigolds are also a wonderful thing to grow with the squash. We have a mandala garden down there that is about 55 feet across. It's a circle. And then we have the other two gardens, and there's 3 of them, and each of them is about, I think, 60 feet by 120. It's long rectangles, three long rectangles. We have over 4,000 square feet of gardening down there. And it's community garden, where my gardener and his grandfather come and help. Grandfather's here a couple of days a week. And then we give whatever's left over away. We just give it away, because that's what you do when you live in a subsistence neighborhood. you give it away. And then when you're short of something, you ask if they have extra of bananas. Or corn, or whatever it happens to be. That's part of what's changed here, and that's part of what we have to really pay attention to, is the fact that climate has changed. Everybody is growing corn all year round, but they're not sure when to plant it, because the rain system has changed, the wind times have changed, the dry times have changed. So that's again where you're looking at nature to help with knowing how to design your gardens, how to take care of your gardens, how to grow forward with your gardening. And it's complicated. It's really complicated, and you need people to talk to about it. And that's one of the nice things here is there are people to talk about it, and they're not afraid of it. I think that one of the disadvantages in the United States, and probably in Europe too, is that people don't want to talk about it. They just don't want to be told that things are changing. And no adult wants to be told, you should do whatever. They don't want to hear that. And when we look at climate change, that's really what we should be doing to each other, is saying, you should do this, you should do something. My thought is, if people did just a little bit, if everybody did a little bit, maybe the next tornado or earthquake or tsunami or whatever's coming, or flood, would be just a little bit less, and that way there wouldn't be so many people harmed, and that would be pretty amazing to have that happen. But that doesn't seem to take hold, because people don't see things changing that fast, and they're not. They're changing a lot faster than anybody predicted, but you don't see them happening that fast. We're not up at the Arctic taking measurements. We're not down at the Antarctic taking measurements. We're not putting ourselves in a position where we're constantly being reminded about what's going on. That's why I do the crocheting. When you see me with a crocheted hat, the hat is made of natural fibers, and when I feel it, I know it's sustainable. It can produce again. There's nothing holding it back. It's not a limited resource. All it takes is 2 sheep, a male and a female, and then you have a baby sheep, and then you have more yarn, even though the mother and father sheep may have gotten too old to produce yarn and died. The baby sheep keeps on producing and has more sheep, and so it's sustainable. Same way with hemp, it grows and it can keep growing. Same way with linen, rayon. There's several things that are made from different plants or trees or bark or grass or something, and those are sustainable. So when I hold the yarn in my hands, I feel like I'm, again, at my age, I'm not going to go out and advocate protest, whatever you want to call it, for climate change, for permaculture, for being a deep ecologist, for blue zones, or whatever it is. I'm not going to do that. But I am going to honor the earth by always using natural yarns and old antique things that I have, that I've had for years, sitting around, like buttons and beads and ribbons. I sew and I crochet, so there's always things around that I've had for many, many years to be able to do what I'm doing. And at that time, I feel like I'm participating. Now, I also do a lot of things online, so most of my social connection is online, because I have to be available for my husband at any time that he needs me. So that gives me an opportunity to still interact with people. And I interact with people in a lot of different ways. I've been with the Climate Psychology Alliance for 5-6 years, been with Deep Adaptation for 3-4 years. There are different places online where you can look. There's lots of permaculture places online. There's even people here in Ecuador who also advertise being permaculture, and because it's so organic here, they would naturally lean in that way. So I hope this has helped make some more sense to you about all the different aspects of the words deep ecologist. What does that mean? And it means equality. It means respecting the earth. It means recognizing that the earth was not put here for us to just use up. It was put here to keep us alive, but hopefully that we would also do things to keep it alive. And that's where the spirituality comes in, where we see the world as sacred, where we look through our religious doctrine and find areas where there's made mention to different parts of the nature that need to be protected. I was raised in a very strict Lutheran family, so I have had all of the training and read all of the Bible that was used by the Lutherans, and sung all the songs, and was in the choir and church camp and all those things, and Girl Scouts and Girl Scouts and Senior Scouts, and I did all the things there to collect the different insects and learn as much as I could. And it's when I found out how much I loved nature. I did lots of camping as a child. I've always enjoyed being in a rustic environment. So I'm really hooked. I am just really hooked. And when I say deep ecologist, I mean it. I really mean it. I am absolutely hooked on doing anything I'm able to do to save the planet. I also make pins and wall hangings that I've got advertised down in the bottom. You can look it up, Summerland Volunteer Artists. I've been an administrator of a nonprofit for 34 years. And I make these small pins that you can wear that are, I had studied jewelry with gold and silver when I was in my 20s, but now it's made all of the natural yarns like this. You can see it's freeform crochet, so you can see it's unusual designs that don't come from a pattern. I just crochet, and whatever comes, that's what happens. But the idea is to wear a piece of it, and when someone says, oh, that's really different, say, well, yeah, it's to remind us to take care of the earth, to make the art that we make out of natural things, and to have permaculture and have blue zones and call ourselves deep ecologists and recognize a part of our spirituality is protecting the earth. Part of our responsibility as human beings is to teach kids to protect the earth. There's just so many aspects. Is protecting the earth. Part of our responsibility as human beings is to teach kids to protect the earth. There's just so many aspects that we might overlook on a modern walk around. But if you have one of my pins on, then you're not in that kind of space where you you don't have any way of talking about it. It's pretty easy to talk about it when you have. My pens are made out of natural yarn, but also the vintage items that I've had for years. So they're really, well, no two are alike. I don't make anything alike. They're all different. And a wide variety of colors and items. It's summerlandvolunteerartist.org, and there's a dash between each word. But the idea is for you to have an opportunity to get something that will help you be an advocate for the earth, and at the same time help out an old lady and her Vietnam veteran husband. That'd be good. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, any concerns, any comments, I am so glad to be able to respond to them. I'm happy to give you whatever information I can and to research and help you with anything you have questions about. I'm here for that. I'm happy to do that. I'm a retired teacher. I love teaching. That's why I'm sitting here today, looking at all of you and hoping I gave you something that helped you understand what's going on in the world when somebody says deep ecology. Thanks.